In my first video, I shared my story and how I discovered my purpose. In this video, I want to focus on you discovering your purpose and how to live a purpose-filled life as Jesus calls us to. I think a great example of that is Moses. But even Moses didn't start out by writing the first 5 books in the Bible. First, he had to learn to trust God and do what he said. You probably know the story. Pharaoh enslaved the Israelites. Moses was an Israelite, but was adopted by Pharaoh's daughter. He saw an Egyptian beating one of his fellow Israelites, and he fled Egypt to avoid the consequences. Moses then got married, and while he was tending to his father-in-law's sheep, a burning bush appeared. God was trying to communicate to him through a burning bush. God was going to use Moses to free the enslaved Israelites. But instead of responding with, "Yes, sir," Moses doubted God, as he says in Exodus chapter 4. Then Moses answered, "But behold, they will not believe me or listen to my voice, for they will say, 'The Lord did not appear to you.'" Moses was already saying that people in Egypt would doubt that God spoke to him. But Moses said to the Lord, "O my Lord, I am not eloquent, either in the past or since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and of tongue." Moses was trying to tell God that he didn't have the words to say to the kings of Egypt to free the slaves. In verse 13 it says, "But he said, 'O my Lord, please send someone else.'" And I believe that's where the church is today. A lot of believers say, "Let's send someone else. Don't send me. God, you can't use me because of my past. God, you can't use me because I don't have the words to say to people." But we need to remember that God doesn't call the qualified, but he qualifies the called. I love this quote by missionary Hudson Taylor. "God's work done in God's time will never lack God's supplies." We cannot forget that God created all things, including us, and he will supply us with the needs and words to say to others. Moses just couldn't believe that God had called him to something so great. He believed his mission was simply impossible. Do you feel the same? Do you feel like finding your purpose is impossible? Or maybe God has called you to something and you're doubting God and you're saying, "This is impossible, God. Someone as broken as me can't do something as great as that." Trust the Lord and let him stretch your faith for you trying to find your purpose for being on earth. Many believers today have wishes, but no purpose or goals. We wish to see the world change. We wish there wasn't social injustice, but we really don't want to love all people, or we really don't want to draw near to God because that takes our time or that takes our money. I love this story of an ancient king. A king had a really bad eye ache, and it ached for a while, and he went to several different physicians and doctors to try to figure out what is going on. And doctor after doctor didn't know a cure or a treatment, but the last doctor had a very different diagnosis. He told the king to focus only on the color green for 2 months. So the king did, as he was so desperate to get rid of the eye ache. So pretty immediately, the king spent tons of gold and silver on barrels of green paint, and he painted his entire palace green, including the windows, to try to get rid of this eye ache. And after 2 months, he was healed. And he went back to the doctor to praise him and go for a checkup. And the doctor simply laughed, because he told him, "You could have simply just bought a pair of green glasses, and everything you would see through them would be green." And I know that's a weird story, but it kind of relates to where we are today. So many people want to see the world changed, yet they don't want to change the daily actions they do. They want to see the world love each other, yet they aren't loving the people in their life. They want to see the world come to know Jesus, but they're not drawing near to him every day. So my message to you is to stop having wishes. Find your purpose, love others, love God, and impact the kingdom.